What's up guys, it's Orange. Today I'm bringing you a video discussing some of the problems I have with sweats and what can be done to fix them. Now before I hop into this video, I just want to take a quick moment to mention that now my friends list is open to everybody and anyone that wants to add me. Doesn't matter if you're a subscriber, a follower, or you just want to add me. I know it hasn't been like this always. I'm changing it, so now send me a friend request again if I don't have you added and I will add you. Okay, so into the video. Let me talk about sweats. And first I'm going to start off with the rules currently in. Starting off with heavy ammo, obviously that's like the biggest thing you're not supposed to do in sweats. You're not supposed to pull heavy ammo. Now, obviously heavy ammo is a lot easier to get kills with against someone that doesn't have heavy ammo. But when both people have heavy ammo, it actually is a pretty fair fight. Which, if heavy ammo was implemented into sweats, I think people would play a lot more strategically for it like they would for special. Now, you know if you're a sweaty player that you're always trying to get special ammo, trying to get snipes, trying to get shotgun ammo, because really that does help you in the game a lot. If you're on a team that doesn't have special ammo, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage. Now, heavy is that on a much greater scale. It only comes once a game, so you really can't abuse it for too long, and once you die, you lose it all. So in my opinion, I don't think heavy ammo would be that big a deal. Now yes, some people will argue that, oh, heavy ammo could totally turn the tide of a game, and I think it can, but I don't think it will that much. It might give the other team maybe a 500 point lead, a 600 point lead. Like, it would be pretty substantial, but it wouldn't be like a game altering event. I think the better team would still win, but this makes the game a little more objective. It gives you a goal to try to get to, and it's just on a higher scale of trying to get special. It's the same exact thing as that, but you know, you got to work a little harder for it, and it's a lot more important. Now, some of you may disagree with that, and that's fine. Let me know in the comments what your opinion is on it, and yeah, we can just have a nice conversation in the comments, but no need to argue. Moving on to my next point. So no exotic armor. That's also a really big thing in sweats. Now, exotic armor to me in sweats has always seemed kind of confusing. I don't see the problem with it if everyone has the exotic armor. Now, the biggest defense for exotic armor is it would be crazy if everyone had exotic armor, such as Titans with Titan Skating plus Twilight Garrison, or with Armamentarium, or Voidwalkers with Ram, and Hunters with Tarantella. All these things do give a substantial boost to the subclass, and it helps them a lot. Now, I see the problem where people say that, oh, that would make one person so OP, but they're only thinking if the enemy had it. If everyone had it, I think it would be fair. So, whilst you would have a Titan who had greater mobility with a Twilight Garrison, you'd also have a Hunter that could survive a Hunter that could use his Arc Blade 3-4 times a game, maybe 5 if he's doing really well. And that's a big advantage that Tarantella offers, as well as getting your nades back quicker. And if you're a Warlock, you could run Void Fang Vestments, which would give you a lot more nades every time you spawn, and you could run the Ram, which would give you a lot more armor. And I think it would give a little more uniqueness to sweats and kind of have a little more different variety. I know most people usually have the same stuff, and I don't see the biggest problem with it if it did have it, but I know how people are, and it probably won't change. Again, with these ideas, you know, most of them probably aren't going to change, but these are just my opinions on what could be done just to experiment with some new ideas. So moving on to duplicate subclasses. Now, duplicate subclasses are somewhat a problem. I will agree that duplicate subclasses can be kind of hectic, especially if you have 3 of the same thing. For example, 3 Stormcallers, or you know, 3 Strikers, or something along those lines. See, I think 3 is a little excessive, yes, I would agree. But having 2, I don't think would be a huge deal. Now, if everyone could have 2, you know, you'd have 2 teams. Let's say you had 2 Night Stalkers and a Striker versus 2 Stormcallers and a Striker. That would be a fair match in my opinion. Even though you'd have double wombo combo, you'd also have double amplitude shoddy most likely, which are both very powerful things to have in sweats. Now, see, the biggest point about all these things I'm making is that both teams can have them, so it's not unfair. If one team chooses not to run a duplicate subclass, that's fine if it's up to their preference. Now, if the team has the opportunity to run it and they don't, then that's their fault, and they can't complain about going up against duplicate subclasses. So my biggest point with all these things is if everyone has the opportunity to use it, I think it should be allowed in sweats. Some things might be a little excessive, but it's just my opinion and some of the things that you could change, even if you wanted to have a tournament like this, and just a different kind of tournament, something that was just a little different from the typical Sweat loadout. Now, moving on to some of the weapons. Now, you probably already know what I'm going to say. I talked about this before in a video a few months ago. The Matador is a ridiculous shotgun, and while shotguns do have range caps, the Matador just has a really good fire rate compared to other shotguns. It's not the best, but for its impact, it's pretty good. The Conspiracy Theory D has an extremely low shotgun rate of fire, which I have, and I'm not a huge fan of. I know the Matador isn't that fast, and it will get beaten out by a Party Crasher or like a Found Verdict or anything like that. Invective. I mean, it's not a fast firing shotgun, but it's like for the impact it deals out, it's a pretty good trade-off. Now, the Matador, what's special about it that's different from any other weapon in Sweats that's prominent is the fact that it does not drop in year 2. And that is the biggest problem with it, in my opinion. I'm down for people being able to use whatever weapons they want, as long as everyone has access to them. Now, I was a year 1 player, as you know, and I deleted my Matador. I regret that, obviously, but I can't change the fact that I did it. There are also people that have come over from Xbox and people that just straight up started in year 2 and never had access to a Matador. Now, I don't think it's fair that someone who never had access to a Matador has to go up against people in Sweats that have a Matador. Now, people always talk about Sweats being a true test of skill and, trying to make it as fair as possible. If you really wanted to make it as fair as possible, you'd make sure everyone has the same loadout, at a minimum. In games like Counter-Strike and Call of Duty, you all have the same loadout, and it's very, very the same. Like, in Counter-Strike, I know for sure, you have exactly the same loadout. There's no attachments or perks or anything. Obviously, I'm not saying Destiny is Counter-Strike, but in Call of Duty, you have all the same guns with all the same attachments that can be used. Now, this makes the games a lot more balanced as far as being able to use weapons. Now, I know some may argue that Destiny is different. You get weapons differently, and that's just how it's played. Not everyone is going to have the same loadout, and some may say that's part of the challenge of Destiny. But if Destiny does want to become a truly competitive game, and Sweats are actually going to take off, and it's actually going to be like a known thing that people really accept and actually become serious with private matches and stuff along those lines, they're going to have fair weapons that everyone can use. Now, I know some people may think I'm complaining because I'm the one without the Matador, but I genuinely do believe that everyone should have the same loadout. And yeah, no matter whatever competition you are in, you should have the same amount of stuff, because me without a Matador would beat the same exact me with a Matador. Therefore, it's obviously not a skill problem, it is a weapon problem, which cannot be solved. It can't even grind for it. I'm fine with the Her Benevolence and other weapons like that in year 1 being used, because you can grind for it and you can get it. I'm not sure, again, if the Matador can be gotten or can be received, can be dropped, whatever. But I have heard that it may possibly be able to be dropped through 28 Vanguard strikes. But that's not confirmed at all. So, if you truly want to make this game completely equal in weapons and everything like that, what you'd have to use is everyone has to use the same weapons. Now, obviously, everyone's not going to use the same exact loadout. There's snipers and there's shotgunners. But what you could use is, say, if you're going to be a shotgunner, you have to use this shotgun. If you're going to be a sniper, you have to use this sniper. If you're going to use an auto rifle, you're going to use this auto rifle, and so on and so on. That there's one weapon that everyone has to use for that weapon. Now, I know that seems kind of boring, but if you want to make Destiny as competitive as possible in the current state, that's what you have to do. Now, hopefully Bungie may fix this in the future, but if you were to make this game as equal as it could be, which it would be interesting to see a tourney like this, if everyone had to use the starter hand cannon or the starter pulse rifle or the starter scout rifle or all that stuff, starter sniper, starter shotgun, all those common weapons, and that's what they had to use in the tourney, that would be very interesting to see a tourney like that. So that's about going to wrap up this video on my ideas. Hopefully some of these were you could agree upon. If not, just let me know in the comments. If you're going to leave a dislike on this video, at least leave a comment. I think that's what you should do in videos that you dislike. I do it on pretty much every video I dislike. Not saying I dislike that many videos, but if I do dislike a video, I do leave a comment letting the creator know why I disliked it. Now, I think that's very important that you do. And yeah, also if you just want to talk in the comments about some of my points, I'm free to do that. Comment me. And yeah. So that's about going to wrap up the video. I just want to say one more thing. I will most likely be doing an Overwatch video on Wednesday. If you want to be in it, let me know. It's going to be on the PC, so it's not on the PlayStation 4, but it will be on the PC. I don't know how friend requests work on there, but I'm sure if you want to do that, you can figure it out. And message me through PSN if you want, and then we can figure out together if you want to do that. But I will be making an Overwatch PC video, a lot more laid back, definitely not anything competitive. I don't think I have competitive unlocked. It might be custom games or just regular games. But yeah, if you want to try something on Overwatch with me, shoot me a message on PSN or comment below. So that's about it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and peace out.